Good morning, good morning, good morning. What a beautiful Monday morning. Welcome to Rise Above the Noise. This is Cynthia Franklin, your host, along with EJ Melvin, our co host. And today we're going to be talking about distraction along with our topic, procrastination. We're just continuing with distractions today. And what it is, why we do it, and how we can avoid it. Good morning, Ella.
Good morning, Cynthia, and good morning, all of you there in the airwaves. Having some good conversation with the Lord about procrastination. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you today. God bless. All right,
Okay.
Cynthia. Go ahead.
Yes,
I'm
you can.
sorry.
No. I was saying you were having a good conversation with the Lord about procrastination.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's one of the things that I personally struggle with because I get distracted easily. I'm like I said on our last broadcast, I like to learn, and I'm always looking for the next new learning, the class, the master class, the webinar, and so it gets me pulled away from the thing that I should be doing when I get stuck in a state of learning. But as I was ministering before the Lord this morning, I heard these words concerning the Levite in the book of Judges who went out to find his concubine who'd gone back home to her dad. When he went to pick her up, the father said, well, it's late. Why don't you stay the night? So he stayed one night. And then when he got up to leave the next morning, his father-in-law said, well, I tell you what, let's just sit down and have something to eat. And he sat down and they just kind of piddle around until it was too late to leave again. He did that for 3 days straight, and on the fourth day, he said to him, well, you guys don't need to leave now. It's a little bit too late. And guess what? The man said, you know what? I'm not going to wait any longer. I'm just going to get up and go. And it was the wrong hour because he procrastinated too long, and it ended up in disaster because when he left at that late part of the evening, he had to turn into a particular city that was not safe, and the concubine, his wife, ended up being murdered in that city. And I'm just thinking about if he had moved at the moment he was unctioned to move and to just get on his donkey and take the woman home, she could have lived a lot longer. So I want to say it's very dangerous. Procrastination is dangerous to your destiny. I want to admonish people this morning. Don't just, we laugh about it on the show here, and I laugh about it sometimes, but it's very dangerous to your destiny to be procrastinating and allowing people to say, well, why don't you just wait? Why don't you just wait? Why don't you just wait? So I heard this little thing this morning, Cynthia, and I want to ask you a question. Somebody said that we stay too long at the fair. I have an apostle friend who says, don't stay too long at the fair. And I was reading something about we love to say, I'm waiting on the Lord. I'm waiting on the Lord. But we get comfortable in the wait. And so I want to ask you this morning, what are your thoughts about staying too long at the fair?
Well, you want the truth, Ella, or you want the real nice version?
Yeah, let's try to be truthful. Let's try to be real truthful so we can be set free.
Yeah, the truth is, you're right, will set us free. But I believe that with that saying, we stay too long, don't stay too long at the fair, that not only, I think, we can contribute it to our destiny, but also any area of our life, especially I would look because I am in ministry, and sometimes you can be in a place in ministry and you just, it's kind of like being stuck someplace. You're there, but there's nothing going on. There's nothing happening. Even if you look at it spiritually, so you're there in this particular ministry, and you're just there. You're not, you may be active in some of the different ministries within that ministry, but you're kind of like you're there, but you're not there. You're moving in motion. You're just being in emotion because you're stuck at that fair. All the excitement has left, the vibes have gone, and the people picked up and packed up, and you're still there looking around, wondering what's going on. And a lot of times in our life, even that with distraction, we could stay a place too long just by someone telling us, other people's opinion. telling us, oh, well, maybe the Lord's not telling you to move from here, or as we said, I believe Friday night, this may not be, what you should be doing. And I read something this morning, and it stated that big dreams start small.
Mm-hmm.
And just because someone else cannot see your vision or see what you're talking about, your dream, because it might seem really minute right now. But the thing is, if you would take what you're seeing and, go ahead and embark upon it, regardless of what someone else is saying, because I believe other people's opinion really shouldn't matter to us, but because we are human and we not only we value other people's opinion, but because I think we're within ourselves that we're not secure in what we're thinking and our decision that we're making because we don't know the outcome. That's why we may stay at the fair. We don't want to venture out of the fair. Even the fair is, because it's left, the fair is gone. Because we don't know what we're going to encounter once we step out that arena or where the fair was at. Well, now we got to make a decision about, okay, what's next? What am I going to do next?
Absolutely right. And I'm telling you, that's an exciting part that I've just learned. Well, not just learned, but maybe being reminded that nothing happens until you make a decision. We can talk about it. We can think about it. We can even write about it in our little journals. We write in the journal, and then we stick the journal in the drawer, and then we don't see it again for another 20 years. But until you make a decision to move out, nothing is going to happen. I remember we were talking about this last week, and I wanted to share with you something that I have on one of my teaching sites about procrastination. And I had taken you over there to look at what I had accomplished and realized once we got there that I was supposed to be doing a follow-up class. And when we were looking on the website, I was so embarrassed that the follow-up class never happened because of distraction. I don't know what happened. I was really excited about it. The videos that I recorded were good. I thought they were good anyway. And then when I went to click on the button for the next lecture, there was nothing there. And I just can't tell you how that caused my heart to think that what in the world was I doing that I didn't get the very next video done. So distraction is a powerful tool, but we can overcome it by having a written plan and then not just writing it, but referring to that plan regularly on a daily basis. I know we talked about vision boards before, and it's one thing to do a vision board and get it out there, what it is you're desiring to do and what you want to accomplish, but then you just take the vision board and stick it behind the bookshelf or put it behind the desk, or you put it up on the wall behind the door, and it never gets looked at again. But it's important for us not to be succumb to that distraction thing, because it'll take you down several trails at the same time and you end up getting absolutely nothing done. But I was thinking when you were talking about standing around looking at the fair, everything else has moved out, everybody else has moved on, and you're still there standing around. And it brought to my mind how when Jesus was taken up in the clouds, he already given instruction to his disciples, this is what I want you to do, this is where I want you to go. And as he was taken up in the clouds, they still standing there looking up, even after he was gone, until the angels had to come and say, look, what are you doing standing here looking up? The same way he left is the same way he'll come. But you need to be about the thing that God called you to do. And I want to just share that with the people today. You need to be about the thing that God is calling you to do. There's some greatness on the inside of you, and it's time for you to make a move. If you need help with that, Cynthia and I are here to help you to find out purpose and passion and potential, but you have to make the decision. My goodness, I'm getting excited right here. You have to make the decision to leave the fair, get in your vehicle, and take it down the road.
And as you were talking about taking it down the road, taking your vision, getting your vision up and running, and as you were saying, taking it down the road, I was thinking about something that I had read years ago. And it gave a little example about ways that I'm thinking now. An example of how we can eliminate some of the distraction and regain our focus again.
Mhm.
And it was a little scenario like if you lived in a small town and then you're going to a large suburban metropolitan city. And it's a nice day out, it's in the middle of the week, and you need to take a drive to another town. So you all of a sudden you really go to another town. The fastest way to get there probably was to take the highway to get to this town. And it would take some time because you live downtown. So at one point, once you start reaching point A where you have to go, you'll be to the town in no time. So when you get there, the highways, I think I used that kind of yesterday in my sermon, but you get there, the highway is closed, and you need to take another direction. You need to go on another inner road.
Yes.
And then at first, while you're driving, it might look like it's faster.
Mhm.
You don't have to go all the way into the highway. On the highway, you can start making your way through, where you're going, leaving your house and what have you. But once you start going, you realize there's a lot of traffic lights, stop signs on the inner roads.
Mm.
And then you start saying to yourself, I have done that. I decide, okay, we can't go that direction, but I'll go here. I know another route, and I get on the other route. There's more. In fact, it happened this morning. Instead of going the normal way that I would go to this appointment, I decided I'm going to make a little detour. I'm going to go down this other street and go. And lo and behold, this other street had traffic. Here it is about 8:30, 8 o'clock, about 8:30 in the morning, 8:15. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, where's all this traffic coming from? Then I realized, it's Monday, people going to work. So I made a mental note. It's a mental note now in my head. I'm not coming this way anymore early in the morning because, people are actually on the highway going to work. So as I say, when we make a detour, all of a sudden we get all these obstacles, these distractions, and we're like, we wish we had never taken that route, or wish we had went a different way, or we stayed a little longer, or what have you. But then when we're thinking about it, that there may have been a better route if we had Google Maps or Drive that we use sometime on our phones to take us a different route. And sometimes I think there's even an app that let you know about, traffic or construction that's on the road and things that can better prepare you where you're going. And in something like that, I think even with the Lord, he kind of leads us. He gives us a plan, but sometimes we don't follow the plan.
Now you're talking.
Because it does not appear to be the right way to us, in our human infinite mind, we're thinking, okay, no, that's not so, because why? No one else has never done that before. And as we were saying, when we step outside the fair, we get all these voices and the noise start coming at us because, especially in our own heads, because, we have not taken this route or this road before. And I think sometimes that can cause it, but then we can become our very own distraction.
That's interesting. That's interesting because most of the time you think distraction is coming from the outside. But, yes, I do agree that sometimes it can be an inner thing that's going on with you. It can be because of insecurity. It can even be because of past failure, and you talk yourself out of doing the very thing you heard God tell you to do, but you sit around like this Levite in the book of Judges, chapter 19. You sit around taking it easy and putting it off till tomorrow, and then it never, ever gets done. So I don't want the people of God to be caught in that waiting trap. I know that's a familiar thing that sometimes bugs me a little bit when we say I'm waiting on God. Are you really, really, really waiting on God, or have you simply gotten comfortable in the wait? It's comfortable to be waiting on God. When it's time for you to take a step or get ready to move out, when you get ready to take a trip, there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. What are you saying? Hello?
No, I was saying, yes, you're correct. That, when you start taking a trip, there is a lot of different things that go into taking a trip, the preparation, and you're making sure, you have everything that you need. And so it's a lot involved. But as you were talking, the word sabotage came to me. when you were saying that sometimes we're our worst own enemy. And the word was like, yeah, sometimes we sabotage our own self. It's not other people that sabotage us. Because we don't move on, as you were saying, what God told us to do. We don't move on that because we're not trusting Him enough to move on what He said, because like I was saying before, it does not appear to be normal. What He gave you, the dream that He placed in you, or even what, if you want to step out on it. So we start, like you said, it may be insecurity, or that we think we're not good enough to do that, that no one wants to hear us, and no one wants to, read what we wrote. Or not only that, maybe you have a dress shop and you say, oh, well. And I don't know if I was reading from the HuffPost, or somebody put a little article in there that said, if you're doing a business, do not go do your business first with your relatives.
Why do you think they say that?
Because our relatives are the hardest people, I believe. Not everyone. I'm just speaking in general as a broad statement. But most of the time, our relatives, oh, here she go on another adventure, or he's on another adventure. Or they don't believe in what we're doing. And I believe family members are the hardest people to sell to. Whatever you're doing, whatever you're trying to do, to even support what you're doing, your business, if you have a business up and running. Sometimes family members are the hard, and who knows why, that our family members, I don't know if we weren't taught, some of us were taught. A lot of families I know are really close-knit families, and they support each other in everything that they do. But then you have some that do not, do support some family members and what they're doing. But I thought it was right, because you ask your family, like, well, okay, you tell them about what you're doing. And I can attest to that with insurance. And by an insurance agent. And some family members I know don't have insurance. They need insurance. And they're hemming and hawing. They're going to wait. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm saying, well, and I said this. I said, well, okay, you wait. And we're going to have you cremated. We're not going to try to, have everybody come up with some money to help put you away when you could have had this in place your own self, even if we had to help pay for the policy. But because you refuse to get this, oh, no, you'll get yourself cremated. And some people do have to do it because of lack of funds. But I'm just saying, why put your family member or anyone else in a tight, or not a tight, but, into debt when something comes in prevented, when even in other businesses or what have you, that you could have done and had extra income and money yourself and bought what you needed.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to pause from this conversation just for a moment here, and we're going to talk a little bit about business. I'm making an announcement about business is one of the 7 mountains. I believe it. Prophet Lance Wall now teaches the body of Christ about the 7 mountains, and that the church is to conquer all of the mountains, and we just stay stuck most of the time in the religion mountain. We want to talk about church, we want to preach it, and we want to teach it, but we, as kingdom citizens, have been commissioned by God to take all of the mountains. He says He has created a kingdom of kings and priests. Now, the priests are the ones who give us the word of the Lord and the vision of God and hear the voice of the Lord. But the kings in the kingdom are the ones who go out and take the spoils. And that means going into the marketplace, not only to be consumers. We are too consumer focused. So I want to speak to the body of Christ. This is kind of an announcement and an admonishment at the same time, that it is time for us, some of us who feel and have the unction, to go into the marketplace so that God can position you for the outpour of that anointing to take that mountain, like Jacob and Caleb. These were old men, 80 years old, when they came into the promised land. But Caleb was like, give me my mountain. Don't worry about how old I am. I am ready to rise above this, the aches and the pains or whatever you see in the natural, because I have a promise from God that he would give me a mountain. And so I'm praying for you today. For those of you who have an unction in your spirit to get into a business of your own, start your own business. I would like to invite you to be a part of the business that I am in right now. We're in the travel industry, and it's an $8.1 trillion that is changing hands on an annual basis, and we are sitting by the wayside. We're throwing our money into the travel industry, but we're not getting anything back out of it. And I just want to say there is money to be made. There is an abundance of money there for the body of Christ. And if you are struggling financially, if you don't have your needs being met, maybe it's time to take a detour, not necessarily quit your job. I'm not advocating that, but it is time to add to increase, and that's going to be in the marketplace. One of my mantras is that I am E.J. Melvin, and I am your marketplace apostle, and God has sent me to help you find your wealthy place. I believe that the people of God are not supposed to be in debt. I believe that we're supposed to be living in abundance and even above the noise of lack, debt, and insufficiency. So take this opportunity. I want to say to those of you who might want to take part or even just take a look at what we're doing in the travel industry, my website is powertogetwealth.faith. If you just put that in your browser, take a look at a 5-minute video, and then give us an email or hit me up on Facebook if you're a part of the social media community. Let me know if you would be open to finding out more about how to increase your financial blessing. Get in position now, because I promise you, God is pouring out his spirit on the financial arena, and you want to be in position to get your portion. Thank you very much for that. Now, Cynthia, we're back to you. One thing we're talking about preparation, going on a trip and destination. We love going on a great trip, planning that destination. We can see ourselves on the beaches of Hawaii or wherever place that we decide to go. And we love talking about the destination, but not many of us think about the fact the preparation is going to be a little bit difficult. You're going to have to decide on what you're going to wear, what's the climate there. You're going to have to get your airfare if you're going over that type of length of space. You're going to have to talk about where you're going to stay when you get there and how you're going to survive. And then if you're doing a road trip, you have to pack the vehicle or you have to rent a car. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on before we get to our destination. And part of why we procrastinate is we don't want the drama of the preparation. Okay, let me slow down now because I feel my help coming. Go ahead, sis.
You're right. We don't want you're right. Who wants the drama of, having to think, I got to do this, I have to do that, I got to make sure this, got to make sure your house is going to be secure, or have someone, if you have pets, have someone come over to check on your pets, or, some people put them in boarding. I remember when we traveled, our dog that we had, Rachel, we put her in a boarding facility. And sometimes they can be expensive having children, pets, but we have to make sure that they're taken care of when we're deciding to take a trip, unless we're carrying them with us. And not only that, if you have children, you got to make sure everyone have enough clothes or enough outfits. Like you said, we got to consider the climate that we're going to be in, or if you're traveling overseas. And but one thing that I was looking last night through the travel agency, and I was looking at, I believe, Rome, Italy, but it's a place that I would like to go. And they had various hotels, and I'm like, okay, now how do we check out these hotels to make sure that they're in a safe area? Because, you see so much on the news, well, not as much in Italy as you do in the small islands or what have you, tropical islands where people, get missing or what have you. And because I was thinking about, I think a month or so ago, when a couple from New Jersey, they went to the Dominican Republic. And they were not too far from where one of our close family friends lives. So I asked him, I said, well, what happened to the couple? They found the wife on the highway somewhere, and then I think the husband was somewhere down the bottom of the mountain or by the river, or the sea, what have you. And I said, well, what happened? I'm thinking somebody robbed them. I guess I'm thinking the worst, that someone robbed them, and maybe he said, no, what happened? no one robbed them because they rented a car to go back to the airport the next day, and apparently because of the way the highways were, that they had an accident, and they think that when they had the accident, the wife fell out the car, and the husband went over the cliff. So I'm like, okay, well, that's good to know because I'm thinking maybe somebody, as I said, maybe hijacked them or whatever. First, the news was saying they did not know what happened to this particular couple. So, in the preparation, I guess, and then, you start doing it with anxiety, you start doing something else when you're traveling or packing. But one thing that we have to remember that sometimes that we're always going to have distraction in our lives. And sometimes they're in moderation, and others sometimes can be hurtful, to us, some of the distraction. And I remember last night when I was studying to renew my life insurance license, my CEs, and in the middle of this, I read one chapter, I was reading another. In the middle of this, all of a sudden, I decided to look over at something that was on my bookshelf. And all of a sudden, I started, concentrating on what's over there on my bookshelf and getting up and started looking at it. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, I'm supposed to be over here. I'm supposed to be studying so I can go ahead and I have my license renewed for another 2 years. But I'm just saying how easily it is to become distracted. And I don't know about you, but I know with my husband, sometimes I could be in the middle of doing something important, whether I'm writing or I'm reading, or, taking care of Bill or something, and he'll come and say, can you put me on the computer? And I'm like, okay, but all right, hon, I will when I finish because I'm in the middle of something. And then with me, because I guess of my age or what have you, I forget what I was doing at that particular time. Yes. So, like I said, distraction's always going to be, I believe, a part of our life, but it's just knowing how to handle distraction, when distraction comes. And I even know when you're praying, I said, people said, one time I said in the class I was teaching them that we have ADHD, because you're praying, all of a sudden your mind starts wandering off somewhere else, and one young lady holler, oh no, I don't receive that, I don't have ADHD, but it was a statement that was being comical, because when we're praying, our minds do wander off.
Yes.
And yeah, it really does. And so then we have to come back to what we were saying. But I guess that's because of that we are adults and we have a lot of things going on, a lot of things that can distract us in our life. It's just learning how to manage it. And I believe you have some tips on that, Ella.
Yes, we got about 3 minutes left here, ladies and gentlemen, and I just want to say the main thing is keep the main thing the main thing. This is how you deal with distraction. Keep the main thing the main thing. You're going to have to make yourself a priority, make your vision or your project a priority, because people and other things will come in and they will say, oh, it's urgent, it's urgent, it's urgent. Well, it may be urgent, but now at this particular moment, it's not important. You're going to have to learn how to say no to some things. You have to learn to say not right now. No or not right now doesn't mean that I'm not going to be available. It's just that I am not available right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you will make yourself a priority, make the project a priority that God has given you. Oftentimes, especially women, since we are caregivers and nurturers, we always put ourselves on the back burner, and anybody needs anything, we jump to the pump, and we run to do whatever it is that they need done, and our stuff just doesn't get done. It's time out this year, ladies, to get it together. Make make yourself a priority so that you can rise above the noise. Now, in these last 2 minutes, we're going to just share with you how to contact us.
Okay.
Did you have something, Cynthia, before we sign off? Go ahead.
I didn't hear you.
I said, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay, we thank our audience for joining us this morning here on Rise Above the Noise. And to contact us, you can email us at soaraboveit@yahoo.com. And we're also on Instagram, Rise Above the Noise, and our Facebook community group, Rise Above the Noise Podcast. And you can send your questions or even any comments or suggestions there to our Facebook community. And we'll try to address your questions on our next show, which will be Friday evening at 7:30. And EJ, I think we need to talk.
All right. Well, that's excellent. We want to again say.
Because I believe we have service that night. That's Friday. It's coming Friday night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're gonna go ahead and stay right where we are, and we'll talk about what we do with service on that night. All right. God bless you all. We love you right here from Rise Above the Noise. Get out there, make yourself a priority, and rise above the noise.